My phone, don't I?
I'm not super tired. I don't know what's other than this. No. I mean, I'm like, yeah. Well, I'm almost calling it, like, away. I didn't think they could come in.
Very well. Don't know if we have the right audio. Get ready for some noise. They're coming out up there. Huh?
Yes.
They're not very loud.
Well, there's rooms in a boat. Intro. It's only 1 sentence, huh? Importance of gardens and the food supply chain.
You could ask her if she has. She's ED of this group.
What?
She's executive director
Yeah.
of this group.
Yeah, that's all I got. Importance of gardens and our food supply.
Yeah, starting soon. Do we need more volume?
We need more volume.
Volume?
Can everybody hear me? No.
No.
Only if she thinks she got the time for the caution. It's no, that's no. I'm afraid.
That wind got every hour between here and I don't know where.
It was pretty much.
Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? I don't think it's on. I don't think it's on. Maybe it is. Where's the thing? Is that it?
Where'd I dollar? My prop.
Uh-oh.
I put it somewhere different, which is always a mistake.
I can
It's
hear that.
on, yeah. It's not loud.
I can speak loud. I know how to speak loud.
I guess I should search.
Everything else is black and water and color.
Hi, I'm Sue.
It's an expression of DNA.
I'm good.
Yeah, I turned the camera on. Did you want me to center it? Center it?
Yeah.
Was it series of trees named after women?
Pin? Or spotlight? Oh, one on his
Spot.
I think so.
I want to welcome everybody to Austin Organic Gardeners at Zilker. And I love this intimate format we got going here. I'm Mary Kramer. I'm president of Austin Organic Gardeners. And I want to welcome y'all tonight. How'd you enjoy the sprouting workshop? It was good? Very good. Awesome. I'm so glad y'all came out for that. And it'll be like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can't believe it's already March. It's so weird coming here, like the light was so bright. And I'm like, there's something off. I'm leaving the house too early. What is it? Oh, it's time change. Anybody else have that? Yeah, it was weird, right? So how's your garden grow? Mine looks pretty dead right now, but I see little tiny greens sprouting off of everything just a tiny bit. Anybody grow stuff this winter and they want to talk about it or share? Tell us. Thank you, Isla.
And they do, but you have to know at what stage you pick them. You have to wait till they're really reddish purple. And then when you pick them, the stem and they're really pretty. And they'll thrive once they get in the ground.
Thank you so much for bringing that. So if you noticed, we have a little table here, some of the food, eat up all the food. I don't want to take it home. And to the right is all the giveaway stuff. So there's lots of gardening books over there, cover crop seeds, some moringa, right, Lacey? Where was she at? Moringa, I think, seeds. I'm not sure about these plants over here on the table. Does anybody bring those? You did?
Elderberry.
Are they for giveaway?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Somebody brought us some elderberry cuttings for giveaway. So I do ask that you look at or take the giveaway at the end of the meeting because sometimes there's a scramble to get it first. So if you are new tonight, please raise your hand and introduce yourself. We'd love to meet new people. Stand up. Maria, nice to meet you. How'd you hear about us? Oh, good. Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead. Oh, perfect.
Next Saturday, the 22nd, we'll have a speaker. Andrea will be talking about cultivating herbs and cooking with herbs. And she'll be talking about Mexican, Italian, and Chinese.
Where is this workshop? At Sunshine, and it's Saturday, what time? 11 a.m. and say that again, I couldn't hear. Who is speaking?
Andrea Hotel is one of the gardeners.
Adra Patello, and she's doing herbs on cooking. And it was Chinese, Italian, and Mexican. Very exciting. Oh, awesome. Is there a way to register for that or you just show up? Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to say hi? Welcome.
I have a question. I pulled basil out last fall, right before the freeze. I was leaving town, didn't have time to make pesto, so I dug it up, put it in pots, put it in the windowsill, and it's about 5 feet tall at this time. And I'm wondering if I should put it back in the ground or if I should just put it in the pesto.
I think I would make the pesto and then put it back in the ground. Yeah. Because you're going to lose those leaves. Yeah, Sunshine Community Gardens, yeah. Anyone else? Announcement or say hi? Go ahead.
You're not really growing anything, everything dies.
I twisted their arms. Thank you so much. Anyone else want to say hi? I'm so happy to have new people here. I really welcome you to come to our club because we have fun. So let me tell you about our club, Austin Organic Gardeners. We're 80 years old this year. Woo, 1945. And we encourage membership, but our meetings are absolutely free. And if you want to become a member, you can go to our website, Austin Organic Gardeners, and become a member that way. Or you can talk to Anna here in the green shirt, and she will make you a member as well. It's $25 a year, and you're supporting our mission to provide good organic information to people. It costs a lot, though, to do Zoom and, you know, all the stuff that we do. So we encourage membership if you can to help us pay for that. And it's fun times. So what else we got? Any more announcements about the garden, David?
Yeah, on Saturday mornings, we have a volunteer group down at the vegetable garden here at Zilker. You can sign up through our web page on Good Falls. So anytime the date is shown there, they're most Saturday mornings. So be sure that you check in Good Falls, the system we use for registration, and the date is there. And then, yeah, we meet at 9 o'clock, and we work till about 11:15. We do seasonal maintenance in the garden, so we're kind of switching over from fall to spring. And it's actually 9:15. The gates open at 9, and it takes a while to get in. So you do get admission for the volunteer. Yeah. Everybody want to?
Oh, David, you forgot the microphone when you were doing that. I can try. So, online, if you didn't hear what he was saying about the meeting here at 9:15 on Saturdays, you can sign up, beforehand on Give Polls to be, a gardener here at our vegetable bed. It's a fun time. It's a nice way to have camaraderie with your friends and plant things for spring and learn gardening if you don't know how. We welcome people to participate in our, Zilker vegetable bed garden. Do you have anything else? No? Awesome. So I want to introduce our speaker tonight, Sue Beckwith. She is the executive director of the Texas Center for Local Food, and she is going to discuss the importance of gardens in our food supply chain. And after her, we're going to hear from Joshua Coleman. He's the state outreach coordinator with the USDA Farm Service Agency. He'll be on after Sue. And with no more ado, I will turn it over.
Say Joshua Coleman?
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite people.
Oh, he's after you.
Good, because I tried to call him the other day and got a refused number, and I thought, oh my, does he still have a job? Hi, everybody. I'm going to try and sort of look. Pardon me? Then I'm right up in the face of the people on Zoom. All right, well, I'll scoot y'all back. Can you hear me all right? Okay, I am hard of hearing and forgot my hearing aids because I hate them. So when you ask questions, please speak up or someone repeat it for me. I'm just going to put my water down. So I'm going to, all right. And Jenny says she can hear me. Great. And David, you've got hold of the chat, right? All right. I'm going to share my screen, right? Right. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. Again, I'm Sue Beckwith. I work for the Texas Center for Local Food. We're a Texas nonprofit. We work statewide. And I'll tell you a little bit more in a minute about what we do as soon as I get this screen right. Let's see. There we go. Look good? So the Texas Center for Local Food, our mission is really about helping farmers earn a decent living from farming by working on the food supply chain. So our primary work is the economics of farming. And again, we work statewide, mostly in the eastern part of the state. So you could think of it as kind of farm gate out. So we don't do policy work. You know, we'll do our part to write letters and things about policy, but that's not our main focus. Our main focus is that direct technical assistance for farmers on business planning, market development, things like that, to help make sure that they're earning a decent living from farming so they're still here feeding our communities next year. So that's our mission. I'm not going to repeat it again necessarily. But let me go on to the next slide. It just explains a little bit more about what we do, and then we'll move into the topic of really thinking about gardens and the supply chain. So I talked about farm business, our work in farm business services, and that's one-on-one technical assistance, primarily for aspiring and beginning farmers. You know, we get a lot of calls from farmers. You know, I've been a gardener. I think I want to be a farmer. What do I do next? And so our staff of just 3 statewide for farm business services talks with them about their goals. Do they want to be a full-time farmer? Some of us in the room know what a heavy lift that can be if you don't have an off-farm income in your household, which only 1% of farmers in the United States do not have an off-farm income in their household. So only 1% earn a full-time living from farming. We also have farmers market services, and we have a staff of 3, again, statewide, that helps farmers markets set up to accept SNAP. SNAP is everybody familiar with that, formerly known as food stamps. If you've been to a farmer's market and looked or worked with the SNAP equipment, it's a real pain. The process is really laborious, it's expensive, it's time consuming, and there's quite a bit of administration. So it's not a light lift for farmers markets to begin accepting SNAP. And yet we know that SNAP, from the data, SNAP acceptance at a farmer's market helps make sure that everyone, regardless of their income, can have access to fresh, healthy food. We do a lot of work with the smaller and rural markets, right? The big urban markets generally are pretty good. They have pretty good staffing, pretty good revenue streams. I mean, the Mueller market, I think, sees 12,000 people every Sunday, the Mueller Farmers Market. So, you know, good traffic, whereas the little Elgin Farmers Market, a farmer would be lucky to make $75 on a Thursday afternoon. So pretty different. So our staff does that. And then we have community services where we have an after-school program at Elgin ISD called Farm to Kids Texas. And we used to do farm tours, but we started doing farmers market tours. And it's really been delightful. We give the kids each $5 tokens each, and they have a clipboard and a curriculum, and they have to have a conversation with that. These are 3rd and 4th graders, have to have a conversation with that farmer. They have to begin to understand what the food is, and then they learn in our classes in the after-school program how to prepare it, and then they eat it together. So the idea is really just beginning to have this experience of being in the farmer's market. It takes away some of the unknown, right, which drives out the fear and the apprehension that people, especially people who are on lower income, might have in going to a farmer's market. Elgin is a fairly low income working class town. Over 85% of our students are on free and reduced lunch, which is generally an indicator of net household income. So, and then we recently, in Bastrop County, where we're headquartered, where I live, completed the Bastrop County Local Food Action Plan, which I have a copy of. If anyone's in Bastrop County, this is it. I can show it on the screen if you can see it. It's in English and Spanish. And this is probably the first county in Texas to do a local food action plan. So I know Austin is working on one, and I lived in Austin a long, long time, so I'm not surprised it's not finished yet. Things take a long time in Austin. This isn't a policy document, though. This is about groups like yours. This is, if you were in Bastrop County, you would have a project in this plan, because we started with the bright spots. What's already happening? We don't need to be acting like nobody's doing anything with local food, because people all over are doing stuff with local food. Whether it's a librarian at one of the libraries in Bastrop that has a seed library, or it's a garden club, or it's someone doing a soil map to figure out where's the best farmland. So large projects and small, and they're each delineated in here with an individual champion that's not me. It's not our organization. All we did was facilitate bringing these bright spots together. So a little bit aspirational. So that's kind of what we do overall. I think I've covered just about everything. I hope we get to stay in business. I will just say, the federal funding freeze has hit us very hard. We partner with USDA. We're primarily USDA grant funded, and I don't consider those grants gifts. That's your money that we're committing to use to do the work that we do for you and for other Texans. And we haven't been paid for most of our federal work since December 1st. So we're running a little bit low, and hopefully that pause, freeze, review will become undone here in the next day. So I have one copy. If someone's here at Bastrop County, I thought they might want to take it. Or if you have friends in Bastrop County, you can take that one. And it's on our website, which is texaslocalfood.org. Printing these days is pretty hefty. They were about $25 a piece to print. Printed in the USA on recycled paper. So, yeah.
But they are available to your organization or the library.
You know, I will make sure that there's a copy of that in every Bastrop County library. It's been on my list of things to do anyway. Thank you for that reminder. So, all right. So I have a little prop I just want to start with. Can you see it in the room? And I think the people on Zoom can see it. This is your food dollar. Not your food dollar on drugs, just your food dollar. And when you purchase from farmers directly at the farmer's market or through a CSA, the farmer gets about this much of your food dollar. When you purchase at the grocery store, the farmer gets about this much of your food dollar, about 11% compared to 80%. So that's just a reminder of not only is this much more money going to the farmer, but remember that that money is staying in our community. And that farmer is buying gas, they're buying shoes for their kids, they're buying other things, fencing and things that they need in our county. And so there's a multiplier effect, what's called in economics, that's, you know, about 2x. Some say higher, some say lower, they're economists. What can I say? But we know it's more than your dollar, more than the 80 cents the farmer gets, right? Because they're going to turn around and they're going to use that and they're going to keep it right here. So that's very different from the fact that almost all of our food comes from faraway places. We grow enough vegetables in Texas, mostly in the Rio Grande Valley, to feed 10% of us. That's it. And a lot of our meat, we send live out of state to be killed, processed, packaged, and we buy it back in packages. So we're sending hundreds of millions of dollars out of state, out of country, every single year. So that's my food dollar example. Any questions about this? Questions so far? I'm going too slowly, I think. Okay. So, oh, let me see if I can move this. Where will I'll put the people right here in the middle. Is that okay? I could. And then, but you can still see them. So if they're not doing all right, they'll tell you. Okay. So why are gardens, let me back up a minute. So we're a part of, as of today, a part of a national project that's really exciting called the USDA Regional Food Business Centers. The Biden-Harris administration budgeted $400 million nationally, including the islands and the territories, to look at supply chains, to look at farm gate out. Where is the infrastructure? Where is the cold storage? Where is the vegetable processing? Where is all of this? And do we need to, if we need to build it, let's build it. So the federal government has been really focused on supply chains. And in the work that we do with beginning farmers, that's where I really see, for our work, the essentialness of gardens. Do you know how to grow things? The first question to someone who says, well, I want to be a farmer. They look so cute, right? Tim? You can be. I've seen you be cute. You know, there's a little bit of a romance, right? A little bit of a romance with being a farmer. And so first you have to figure out if you can grow things and if you like it. I was a chicken farmer. I don't necessarily have the green thumb that you have. I can grow kale. That's about it. So, you know, the middle one here, the on-ramp for beginning farmers, I see as absolutely essential. Start growing something, start selling something. Find a farmer's market where maybe you're not going to make a lot of money. You'll sell $30 or $40 worth a week, but learn how to sell. Learn, do you like that? Do you like selling food to people? Do you just want to grow enough for your family? So there's no other activity other than gardening that helps the farmer find that out, or the future farmer. And gardens provide, of course, hyper local food access. I mean, how many of us have gotten food from our neighbor's garden? They come over and say, do you want some tomatoes? I have more than we can eat in a month. You know, would you like some? So I mean, a good sized garden could provide 3 or 4 households easily, right? And even if it doesn't, it still provides food for your family, for our family. And then I want to talk about education for communities, because I'm not sure that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the educating the next generation is a huge responsibility that we all bear and share. And anyone who's gardening is going to have the neighbor kids come over, your kids come over, your grandkids come over, and other adults as well. Oh, there's a garden. A lot of the kids that we work with in the Elgin School District, before they came into our program, they had no idea where food came from. None at all. Those carrots, those baby carrots, that's what they thought were carrots. And now they know full-on carrots, what they look like, but only because they had exposure to a farmer, and those who are lucky enough had exposure to a garden. So I just want to point that educational piece out, because that there is such a disconnect. I grew up with I grew up on canned and frozen food in a suburb in Florida. We didn't have a garden. I didn't really know anything about that sort of thing until I was much, much older. Had I had some of you in my family, I'm sure I would have learned sooner, and maybe I'd be more of a gardener today. I talked about the food system supply chain, and so I love this diagram, because I think it reminds all of us that food is a part of a system, that there's a system of producing the food, aggregating the food, processing, cutting it up, putting it in packages, getting it to where people can buy it. People buy it, restaurants buy it. We see the trucks all over the road all the time. And consumers, we eat it, and then we hopefully recycle and compost and dispose of our waste, which then moves into input for our healthy soils that comes back into the farmers. Often when you hear me talk about the food supply chain, I'll talk about it as a food system value chain. And that's some of these words in the middle, where we're trying to build a new local food system, right? This isn't a hearkening back to days gone by, right? That never really happened, except if we go back to indigenous foodways, communities really sharing food. As soon as industrialization happened, it switched to the global food supply really quickly. So we're building something brand new that some consider revolutionary. I don't care what we call it, but I really want it to happen, because I care a lot to make sure that we have enough food to eat. So when I talk about the food system, I think about the food value chain, and that's where everybody on this circle shares a common set of values around sustainable soil health, organic or organic practices in farming, equitable food access and justice throughout the system. So that's our image of the food supply chain that we use. That I spoke to a bunch of county judges from the 10-county area a few years ago, and I had them separate themselves in the room, and the farmers, were like there, and then the group over here, you're like the distributors, and over here, you're the consumers. And the distributors, I mean, the the aggregators, the processors, and the farmers are often thousands of miles from you. So the local distributors have to get the food from a bigger distributor, and then it links it together. But the food really does travel a long distance, and in many cases is grown and harvested by exploited people on exploited land and exploited animals. And so the hard truth is that the food's not going to get less expensive. Because if we want everyone to be paid a living wage, doesn't that include the people who grow and harvest our food too? If we want animals to be treated humanely, that word human is in there. That means a human had to interact with that animal, hopefully on a regular basis. So if we want that human to be paid a living wage, then isn't that going to cost more? I mean, it just is. And I don't have an answer to how, other than SNAP, how to make sure that we have, and gardens, how do we make sure we have equitable food access that does cost more and still have access for everyone? And gardens are a strong pathway to that, right? And shared gardening and teaching gardening to our neighbors and so forth. So I just had to draw a line around the supply chain for gardens. And, I thought we could make an animation of, going from the backyard into the kitchen as the aggregator and processor and washing it at the kitchen sink, and then coming in to put it in the refrigerator and distributing it to the table, right? That it's so short. And that's what we want to see, right? The shorter supply chains often are much more resilient than long chains, fewer points of failure. So there's my childish drawing of the garden supply chain. Oh, sorry, I forgot about the animations. So I think I've probably already talked about this. You can tell I'm not a graphic designer. The on-ramp for beginning farmers is, as I said, is the learning to farm, discover if you love it, right? Because a few years down the road, your body's going to start to hurt. You're going to get tired. It has to be something you love, like all of us. We want to get up every morning and step into work that fills us. And those of us who are blessed and fortunate enough to be able to do that, we see it's just a gift. It's also an intention. It's a decision. The beginning farmer also begins to understand the economics. How much money can I make for the work I'm putting in? After Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, a lot of the sort of carpetbagger Airbnb, what do you call it? Absentee landlords bought up a lot of the houses and redid them. And the result was that rents went up and then housing values went up and property taxes went up. So a lot of the folks who live there, the amount of money they were making was out of balance. And so a lot of people started gardening in their backyard to sell to the restaurants down in the French Quarter. Lettuces, the stuff they can turn around in 20, 30 days, right? The high value crops. So they began to learn the economics. And again, understanding the time commitment. My wife and I used to be chicken farmers. And once you're a chicken farmer, you can forget about going anywhere at night. And you have to be home at dusk, and you have to be at home at dawn. Well, you certainly have to be home at dusk or someone dies. If you get home after dark, I won't go into too much detail, but there's time commitment, there's time constraints. If you want to grow okra, that means you're going to be out there in July and August. It's pretty hot. Maybe you don't want to do that. So maybe you set up your crops so that it can meet the time commitment that you're able to commit. If you have young children, can you still get to the farmer's market if somebody gets sick? How far is the drive? How reliable is your vehicle? There's a lot of things to consider that a beginning farmer can do with a garden before they invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, given the price of land here in Central Texas now. Before they make that big investment, they can learn everything they need the basics of it from the garden. And they can build that should probably be farm business plan. You know, they can build a basic business plan and understand what that structure might look like, and understand that you do have to pay attention to how much money you're making, and it's okay to ask for money for something you grow. And that's a psychological barrier that a lot of beginning farmers have to overcome. People say to me, you know, why do you want to farm? Well, I want to feed my community. And they don't really like it when I say, well, then do you have a trust fund? Because you're going to put your own mask on first. You're going to have to make sure you're okay if you're going to be able to be here next year feeding your community. So I talked about education. These are some pictures of some of the farm tours we did with our Farm to Kids program. A lot of these kids are seeing these vegetables for the first time. Not all of them, but a lot of them are seeing them for the first time. And, you know, really everyone benefits. And, you know, I am no picture of perfect, healthy behavior. I don't run. I don't really drink anymore. I still smoke cigarettes. You know, I'm just like, I'm not telling anyone what to do. You know, we all have our things. Many of us still have our addictions that we wish we didn't, whether it's soda or whatever it is. So for me, the reason I do this work is because I want everyone to have a choice. And I don't see that choice in America today. And I don't see that choice in Texas. I live in Elgin. I see people coming all the way to Austin for $12 and $13 an hour. And they're driving home at 5:30, 6 o'clock past any number of fast food places. And, you know, they're like, well, if I stop here, it's $25 and the kids are fed and dishes are washed, and then we can go on to homework, sports, showers, the next thing. It's exhausting. So I understand, and I'm not telling anyone what you should do or what you shouldn't do. But there's not have a healthy taco with local lettuce and tomato and beef at a fast food joint on 290. So seeing the kids is a really big deal for me. And I know I'm just about out of time, so I just want to, okay. I got to tell you this story about the kids at the farmer's market. I told you we give them these tokens, these five $1 tokens. And there was a farmer who had bunches of carrots, right? And they were $5. And the kid said, you know, I don't want to spend my whole budget. I love carrots. They all love carrots. But I don't want to spend my whole budget on just carrots. And so the farmer said, okay, let me think about that. The next week, the farmer came with $2 bunches of carrots. You know, just a couple, three little carrots. So the kids bought them. Every kid had carrots. And then they have their $5, but maybe they only have one left. 2 or 3 of them only have one token left. And I've overheard these conversations where they go and they say, what can we buy? And they go over and they say, well, there's a bundle of kale and it's $3. Maybe we could buy it together and then share it. So there's all these other learnings that come from these experiences, because they're not looking at their phones, they're looking at vegetables, and they've become comfortable having conversations with strangers and with farmers, and the kids know what they're talking about now. So I just really want to highlight that, because as we build this new local food system, right, this brand new food system that is it's so far away right now for us to really have a functioning local or regional food system. And I lost my train of thought. Perfect. Well, I started getting caught up in that. It's a long time away. Even if we put all the resources we have, I think it would take a good 10 years in certain communities. Well, I think we could do it in 10. I grew up in Florida with, some of you might remember Apollo and Disney. And so I believe we can accomplish anything that we put our mind together, and we can dream really big. So that's just a part of why I do this work. And I hope it's been helpful for you to hear what I have to say tonight. And I'd love to hear your questions and thoughts. And I'd love input on, you know, how to get this message out. Oh, and sorry. We have an online learning platform for anyone you know who's thinking about becoming a farmer or who already is a farmer. TextFed.org has over 20 classes for beginning and aspiring farmers. Many of them are marketing classes. So I didn't want to leave without telling you about that tonight. And then I have just a quick survey that all of us on our team do every time we do a presentation. It's just a super quick survey. If you click on that QR code and type in that code when it asks you for the code AOG, I'd sure appreciate it and would be happy to hear any feedback that you have.
Things that I think you're doing, taking the kids to the farmers markets, you are beginning to establish community.
Mm-hmm. We're beginning to establish, I'm repeating for the people online, beginning to establish community with the trips taking the kids to the farmers market. Yeah. Yeah. And it's important in our town. We're like so many Texas towns and many cities, we're segregated by race, but more importantly by class. And the farmers market in the center of town can be a place for us all to gather. It historically hasn't been, but we can make it be that by showing up. Our team would really be mad at me if I didn't ask you to do this survey. So I'm not going to forget. That's why we're doing it. And this is how to reach us. We're online at texaslocalfood.org. First part of April, you will see a shiny, refreshed website, since the one we have is about 10 years old. Yeah, Mary?
People do this to help, local food. What's an action that people can take to help local food, thrive?
Mary asked, what's an action that people can take to support development of local food systems? Continue what you're doing, right? You're gardening, and many of you, I expect, are growing food. So maybe invite the church down the street to bring their youth group over or their seniors group over to see your garden. Think about ways that you can connect with people you're comfortable with. The next time the cousins come over, maybe ask them if they'd like to see the garden. Telling a child that they can pick that tomato is just a really big, exciting idea. And then eat it. Whoa. I mean, when a third grader learns that lettuce is leaves, their heads like explode. Like leaves grow on trees and I'm going to eat leaves. Yeah. 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 And for those of you who don't garden or have friends who don't garden, encourage folks to shop at the farmers market and encourage folks who can to join a CSA, community supported agriculture. Because really, certainly we are all the time asking for donations and contributions, but it's more important to buy food from our local farmers, because just like the person who cuts your hair or your doctor or any other business, if we don't buy from them, they're not going to be here. Simple as that. They're just not going to be here. And we're churning farmers, and we don't have enough to begin with. We probably need 3,000 more farmers in Texas, I'd say.
Make more money and then more people become farmers?
Yeah, I mean, if farming can be, nobody's going to get rich over farming. Nobody thinks it's, the Bitcoin of 2000, right? But to earn a decent living and have joy in what you do every day is, as I said earlier, it's a gift. And if farmers can't earn a decent living from farming, they're just not going to keep on doing it. Because how could they afford to do that? They just couldn't. They wouldn't be well themselves. Just like any business. If you don't pay your hair cutter to cut your hair, they're not going to keep doing that. They're going to find another vocation. And I think sometimes we hear the kind of pity the farmer narrative, like we should buy from them. It's sort of the yeoman farmer line of thinking. And I don't buy that. Farmers are businesses. And if we don't buy from them, they won't be here. We're not going to buy from someone who, for the sake of pity, I mean, sometimes, right? A little bit, but not on a regular basis. And so how can we make that relationship with our area farmers a regular basis kind of thing? Or a gardener down the street who wants to earn a little bit of money doing it.
Tell me about the local farm market, when they have a schedule for a city or anything resource.
I'm so glad you asked that question. I'm just going to stop sharing for just a second so I could see my browser window. We are launching. Oh, repeat the question. How can you find when and where the farmers markets are? Right. Okay. Right now I'm going to share again. We are just launching, it's not quite perfect yet, a Texas local food directory that will work effectively to be able to help you find farmers markets and farms to buy from here in Texas. We have fully populated Bastrop County, and we are working on the rest. Let me see.
What about the CFA down there?
Yeah, we're going to get CSAs on here.
In Central Texas, and no one seemed to have any list whatsoever, so I created a list. I'll send that to you tomorrow of the CSA.
Okay. Then we'll get them in there. So I'm just going to search on farmers markets here. Can you see? Yeah. Excuse me? Okay. I can't get to the zoom in, zoom out because of the way the screen is acting. So I'm trying to do it by hand. Well, let me just do the list. So this is farmers markets. So for example, the Elgin Farmers Market. But on a regular browser, you can zoom in and see the map. The Elgin Farmers Market. Here are some of our partner farms that sell at the Elgin Farmers Market. So you can go visit their websites and look at them. And then by the same token, if you buy food from them and you end up at their listing first, then you can see where do I buy more from them. So it has backwards linking, which is the big difference, I think, between ours and some of the other local food directories. Everyone who's in here as a partner is going to grow food. I think of it as OMG, owned, made, grown, all of it, OMG. We'll eventually have, so this is Terra Preta Farms, they're down in Edinburgh, so they would show up on the map way down in South Texas. There's probably a way I can make the map bigger. There we go. We also have just finished doing a lot of the meat processors around the state. So we have those in here now too, which is a problem for a lot of the ranchers that want to start doing direct to consumer beef. They need to figure out a reliable, clean, inspected processor that's not too far from them. That's a part of the infrastructure work. Some of them have to drive a couple 100 miles with a live animal in a trailer. So like, you know, they don't, it'd be good if they don't do it in July or August, right? Or January or February, maybe.
So first I'll mention, we have a short list of farmers markets in very local to us, and needs updating. I just discovered, I looked at it while it's under resources on our website. Sue has much more extensive. But also we have a couple of questions from Sue. And one person would like to know if she can contact you directly. I guess we can, that's okay, we can message her actually.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can contact me through the Ask Me at Texas Local Food email, which will go to Katie Lavalley, who will make sure that I get it. or you can contact me directly at sueb, SUEB, at texaslocalfood.org. Katie's better about her email than I am. I get a lot and I'm trying to stay caught up, but I don't want anyone to not be responded to. Also on our website, texaslocalfood.org, there's a contact form. You can just fill out the contact form. Yep.
So another message is a little bit long, so I hate to say it and you have to repeat it, but,
I can look in the chat and see it.
Jenny, I see this has been a wonderful presentation.
Hi, Sue. This has been a wonderful presentation. Definitely thought-provoking. I'm an outdoor educator based in Central Texas for a local nonprofit. I think this would be a great topic to share with our families. Do you have any additional education resources we can reference? Thank you so much for your time and sharing with us today. We do. And our website's being updated, so but if you look on our website, under food system, you should see the Farm to Kids page. There's all kinds of recipes and activities for kids on that page. So that's a good one. We do, in our after school program, we do learn the food, identify the food, cook the food, eat the food, all in 45 minutes. So there's the recipes that are in there are pretty much kid tested and have been done in our very short classes. I hope that is helpful to you, Jenny. Garden in my front, I encourage walkers and children, right? Way to go, Darlene. Yeah, exactly. Is it true we only have a 3-day food supply in Austin? That number gets thrown out a lot. I will just ask you what you observed March 20th a few years ago. When COVID started, lockdown happened, what did you see in the grocery stores? And it took some days for that to get replenished. And that was a bumper season for local farmers. Some of us thought, well, for the farmers market attendance was dropping. Sales were dropping a little bit. Participation dropped. And so some of us thought, well, maybe people don't care about us anymore. Maybe people don't know where we are anymore. But boom, everybody remembered. And CSAs were sold out. Farmers markets were selling out really quickly. And that was a great example of what are we risking if we fall back into that, not shopping at the farmers market anymore? What makes us think that farmers are still going to be here the next time we have a food crisis like that? I mean, we work with a food hub called the Common Market out of Houston. And just in those first months of COVID, we gave out $100,000 worth of fresh Texas grown vegetables just in Elgin, which was great. I mean, the big national funders came in to fund that. So yeah, fresh food was a hot commodity. And again, it doesn't just appear out of magic. Yeah.
Gave away at city parks about 2,000 tomato seedlings. Just put them there, dropped them off, and took pictures and posted it, and it was like a hide and seek game for those gardeners in the city. It was find them, they're yours.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, I couldn't have a plant sale. So let's bash them, pass them on to the city.
Well, and what do we say to people? I mean, tell me, what do we say to people to keep that up? I mean, sure, people probably aren't going to respond at crisis levels again, but at least to not drop all the way back down again. Because it's kind of a little bit of roulette.
They had no job or whatever, they gardened all the time.
They found the time. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the same thing. And I'd love any insight. I don't want to scare people with, the F word, famine, but it's not that distant a possibility. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Want me just to close this or no, I have to leave it open. Okay. Yeah, yeah. You have to leave it? I can say 8-ish. Yeah, good.
Okay, great. Thank you so
need me to
much,
put
Sue.
Different.
What a
What a-
great
you.
informative talk.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next we have Joshua Coleman from the State Outreach Coordination with the USDA Farm Service Agency. He will discuss how the USDA offers farm loans as well as disaster conservation and price supports and programs to help start and grow and protect farms. He is over here.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. So let me try to share my screen. Hey, it's good to see you. I appreciate you. I'm still here.
How's that?
Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. So thank you all for inviting me to talk to you all a little bit about USDA Farm Service Agency programs today. I am Joshua Coleman. I serve as the State Outreach Coordinator for USDA's Farm Service Agency here in Texas. And so a large part of my role is making sure we're connecting with different audiences of farmers and ranchers, beginning farmers and ranchers, niche producers, specialty crop producers, and just informing you all about the different programs and resources that we do have available for you all in your operations. A little bit about FSA. So we kind of have two different sides of our house, and we'll get into some of those programs. We have all of our farm loan programs, and then we have our conservation, price support, and disaster assistance programs. And so this evening, I'll talk a little bit about a few of those programs that may be more relative to organic producers, but certainly feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat. And certainly, if you all need to follow up with me afterwards, we certainly make sure you have my contact info to do that. So a little bit about getting started with us. And so if you've never worked with our agency before, we have over 174 offices that are located across the state, serving all 254 counties. And so there is an office that's located there in Austin that serves Travis County, and there's another office in Bastrop that covers Bastrop County. And so in those offices, we do have staff from both the Farm Service Agency as well as the Natural Resources Conservation Service that are there. And you can be able to ask questions about programs, get a little bit of guidance on different things that you may have questions about through both of our agencies. Just quickly about the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS. If you're not familiar with them, they work more directly hands-on on the land with farmers and ranchers on your property. So they can help to address natural resource concerns and help you to identify those and developing a conservation plan, so that way you can hopefully have efficient use of the resources that are there and available on your property. So a little bit about getting started with FSA. So if you're coming in to do or participate or sign up for most of our programs, you're probably going to need a farm number, which is something that you all may have heard referenced at some point or another. The farm number itself, it is a specific identifier that Farm Service Agency will issue to you, and it's for the physical piece of land that you operate on. And so it'll be separate from any tax ID numbers or timber numbers, or any other numbers that you may have gotten that are associated with your property. And so to start that process, mainly we're going to ask you for information on who you are. So we'll need generally your driver's license and your social security number, just to verify who you are, and your social security number. If you will be participating in programs, then we'll have to get you loaded into our system to receive those payments. If you may be structured as an entity, or maybe you're getting started and trying to make that determination, then we'll also need your employer identification number as well to get it loaded in our systems. For the farm number itself, we'll need a copy of the deed for the property, or if it's land that you lease or rent, then we'll need a copy of that agreement as well, just to show that you have control of the land. And so it's important to note that you don't necessarily have to own property to participate in our programs, But again, it's a little bit program dependent and based on the type of assistance that you might be needing to receive based on the program. And then if you are an entity, then we'll ask for copies of those governing documents. And so if you are a corporation, then we'll ask for those articles. If you're a trust or an estate or a partnership, then we'll ask for those applicable documents as well to get you loaded into the system. And so after we get all that information squared away, your local staff, they'll work with you to get your farm registered in our database. And so we'll assign it that farm serial number, that farm number, and then we can provide you with a map that outlines what the boundaries of it are in our systems, as well as the acreage figures for it as well. And so with that, having that farm number allows you to access those programs through our agency and the NRCS. It allows you to be able to vote in FSA's county committee elections. Just briefly about our county committees, they are a locally elected board of farmers and ranchers that help us to administer our farm programs. And so they play a critical role in our day-to-day operations and making sure that we can get assistance out to farmers and ranchers. Then by also providing us with an email address, you're able to get signed up to receive newsletters from your local office as well. And so if there are any important deadline reminders or new programs that roll out, then you're able to get that email with that newsletter, keeping you in the know about what's going on. Now, these three forms here, I won't spend a lot of time on these, but if you are participating in our programs, then we have to determine your eligibility to receive assistance through these programs. And so with that, you will have to complete a farm operating plan, which is a form that we'll collect information on from you that details the land, capital, and equipment that you contribute to your farm, as well as management labor as well that's contributed to it additionally. You have to be in compliance with adjusted gross income. And so for most cases, that's less than $900,000 for producers. And then you have to also be in compliance with any highly erodible land provisions or wetland provisions. So just mainly saying that if you have either of those, that you won't go out and disturb those lands without first working with the NRCS. And so here I mentioned when I started about some of the different programs that we offer. And so I'll dive into a bit of these, but this just kind of lists broadly kind of what we do. So on the program side, we offer, again, those disaster assistance programs. There are some risk management tools to help you prepare for disasters. We do organic cost share, as well as we offer a farm storage facility loan program. Then for our farm loans, we have ownership loans, help you purchase property, operating loans to cover your operating expenses for your operation as well. And so first, I'm going to dive into a few of our farm programs. So this is only 4 of the programs that I'll be covering this evening. So through FSA, we offer around 30 different programs across our agency that offers a variety of different assistance to producers depending on what type of operation and what type of production that they're doing. And so for organic producers, these are more of the programs that we may see a little bit more type of assistance that some of those producers can be beneficial or receive assistance through. We know the government loves a good acronym, and so I will try not to get you all lost in acronyms this evening, but certainly this here hopefully will start to get you a little bit familiar with our programs if you haven't had a chance to learn about our programs previously. One of the first things I will start with, though, is going to be crop acreage reporting. So each year, USDA, we collect data pertaining to crops through crop acreage reports. And so if you want to participate in many of our programs, then you have to timely file these acreage reports with your local office to remain eligible for those program benefits. And so being able to make sure we're filing those accurate and timely acreage reports for all your crops may help prevent the loss of benefits if you miss out on a reporting deadline for some reason. And so when you come in to do the acreage report, listed here is just some of the different information that we will ask from you. So that way we can develop that acreage report. And so definitely the crop of what you're producing and the type of what it is that you're producing, the number of acres. We'll ask for a map with the approximate boundaries. And if you have a farm number, then we can provide a copy of a map for you to do that on. Planting dates, will need that. Producer shares, if you may be in a 50-50 share arrangement with someone else that you're producing with, then we'll need that information. Then if it's irrigated, if you are permanent planted, which is more so for larger row crop operations, we'll ask for that information as well. Now, specific for organic acreage, producers must provide us with a current organic plan or organic certificate or any documentation from a certifying agent that the producer has an organic plan in effect. Additionally, if producers may be transitioning to organic, then they have to provide us with an organic plan and written documentation from a certifying agent indicating that that organic plan is in effect. And so again, we just want to be sure that those producers that are coming in and maybe reporting crops as organic with us are actually certified organic or transitioning to organic to be sure that it's appropriately recorded in our databases. So one program I'll mention, and not more so since it's organic honey more so, but because I know that there are a lot of producers that may be into honeybees or honey production. Our emergency assistance for livestock, honeybees, and farm-raised fish program, it can provide disaster assistance to producers that may lose their actual honeybee colonies, in addition to the hive boxes or maybe even feed losses that are due to a natural disaster. Mainly, we here in Texas, we do see a lot of losses for honeybee colonies in relation to colony collapse disorder. And so that's also a covered loss for this program. For the colonies, they generally have to be losses that are in excess of normal mortality, which is the rate that we would expect you to lose in a given year. And so for honeybees, that's 24%. And so if you had 100 honeybee colonies, if you lost 24 to an eligible disaster, then the 25th one, we could start to provide assistance to producers on. And so with that, this program, this and a few of others, they have separate types of deadlines. And so it's important to kind of stay aware of the different programs and what things are available. But this program has a March 1st deadline. And so it follows the program year in which you had the loss. And so this program is based on a calendar year. And so if I had losses at any point during this year, then I would have until May 1st of 2026 to go into our FSA office to report that information. Now, we highly encourage producers to not wait to file a notice of loss or to notify us if you've had a loss that you think may be qualifying. Definitely the quicker you can go in to get that information filed with your local office, definitely the quicker that we can work through getting all things sorted out with you and hopefully be able to get that assistance to producers that are eligible. In terms of supporting documentation, so this program, it does require acreage reports or reports of colonies, just so we can keep up with what your beginning inventory is. If you change your inventory through the year, if it increases, decreases, then we also need those records. And then if you had any receipts that can substantiate those losses that you may have had, then we can also accept that information as well. FSA partnered with Farm Raise to offer some educational tools and resources in relation to the ELAP program. And so there is a ELAP decision tool that's located online. And so the tool is designed to give producers a better understanding of the program. And it also helps you to start to gather most of the information that will be required to file a notice of loss with your local FSA office. And so to read more about this tool and see what else might be available, you can go to farmraise.com, and then you can find additional information there on this tool and a few other resources that are available on FSA's programs. Another program that we offer, is a little bit of a risk management type program, is our non-insured crop disaster assistance program, which we also call the NAP program. And so this program, it is a risk management tool that's designed to help reduce the financial losses that occur when natural disasters cause a loss of production or prevented planting of crops for producers that have coverage. And so the program provides coverage for non-insurable crops, grazed foraged by livestock, and then also inventory value crops. So floriculture, Christmas trees, ornamental nursery, aquaculture, and there are quite a few other things that could be eligible. This program, again, it's a little bit similar to crop insurance, but for those crops that you can't get crop insurance for. And so at its basic level of coverage, it's at 50% of the yield for that crop at 55% of the market price. Generally, there's a $325 per crop fee that is assessed for producers electing coverage through the program. Buy-up coverage may also be available for producers. And so if you may be producing a crop that you want to get additional coverage for beyond the 50%, then we can provide coverage up to 65% of the yield and up to 100% of the market price for producers that are eligible and elect that coverage. For producers that also may be certified being a member of a historically underserved audience, then they may also be able to qualify for a service fee waiver of the 325. So at that point, it's essential to getting free policy coverage. And then if you elect buy-up coverage, if you're eligible, then there's a 50% premium reduction for those producers as well. And so again, depending on the type of production that you're doing, if you don't have any type of crop insurance protection and this may be a program that's worthwhile, definitely reach out to the local office to get some more information. Similar to insurance, you have to get it before disaster strikes. And so all of the crops that are eligible, they do have a sales closing date by which you have to file an application for coverage in the local office. Depending on what crop you're producing, it could have any date throughout the year. Here in Texas, we have three main dates, being December 1st, March 15th, and July 15th. But again, you may be producing other crops that don't have those dates. And so if you are, like I say, interested, reach out to your local office to find out what the upcoming dates are so you can file an application for coverage before the deadline. Also, acreage reports and production records are required, and so it's going to be important to make sure that you do have some good record keeping ways to keep up with your production. So that way, you know, as your production cycle ends, you can report that information to us, and we can make sure that we're building out your actual production history so it's specific to your operation. And then, of course, if you do have a notice of loss, there are special provisions, there are provisions available by which you have to abide by to make sure that you're timely notifying us that you've had a loss so we can make sure we're working with you all through that process as needed. On farmers.gov, there is a handy disaster assistance discovery tool. And so it's an easy 5-step process to help determine which programs may be available to assist you after disaster occurs in relation to your farm. And so you can definitely go in, click around in it. After you answer those 5 questions and go through those 5 steps, it'll recommend different programs that may be able to assist, as well as provide you the contact info to your local office to be able to follow up with on those programs. I mentioned our farm storage facility loan program. And so this program, it does provide low interest financing for producers to store, handle, or transport eligible commodities that you produce. And so some of the different things that could be purchased under this program could be cold storage buildings. You could be looking at food safety related equipment, refrigeration units, storage containers. So there's quite a bit of things that could be covered under this program. These loans, we can make them at up to $500,000 with a 15% minimum down payment. And then there's also a microloan option that's available. Those can go up to $50,000 and they have a 5% down payment requirement. There's not necessarily a deadline to apply for this program, but certainly your local FSA office, they can provide you with information on this as well. And so if you do have any questions on it, your local office can walk through some more specific details on actually applying for this assistance. And then the last program I'm going to mention, it's going to be our organic certification cost share program. I want to note that this program, it hasn't been announced yet for 2025. In the past, the sign up is usually announced sometime around April to May. And so it will probably be later on in this year, probably sometime in the spring before a sign up is announced if we do have one this year. But this program, it can provide reimbursement assistance to those producers that have gotten organic certified within the program period. And so to be eligible, they have to have received their organic certification. They have to have incurred some expenses and paid those expenses. And then it can be for either of the scopes that you can get organic certified for. So either for crops, wild crops, livestock, or handling. And so with that, we can reimburse up to 75% of the expenses, not to exceed $750 for those producers. And so with this, when they do come in to apply, the main things that we'll need will be a copy of that organic certificate, as well as a copy of the receipts for those expenses that they had that are related to them getting that organic certification. I also mentioned that in the past, the Texas Department of Agriculture, they've also offered this program under a cooperative agreement with FSA. And so in that case, if that is also an option this year, producers, they can apply to either FSA or TDA for this program. They just can't apply to both of us for the same scope within the same year if they choose to do so. But if that continues for this year, then producers can apply through either of our agencies for this assistance. I won't necessarily spend a lot of time on our farm loan programs, but just want to hit a few of the highlights on these here quickly. So I mentioned that we do, again, farm operating loans and ownership loans as well. And so our loans are considered progression lending. And so they're intended to be temporary in nature, help producers graduate to commercial credit. So we're here to kind of step in for those producers that may not be eligible for commercial credit to hopefully give them access to the capital that they need to do whatever project that it might be on their operation. And so for our direct farm operating loans, these can be used to purchase equipment, livestock. They can be used to cover seed purchases, production expenses. So generally anything that you would need to carry out your operation, these loans may be an option for you. They're generally repaid in 1 to 7 years, depending on what they're borrowed for. Of course, higher cost items are on longer term loans, but we can make these up to $400,000. There's also a microloan option as well. And so the microloan is limited to $50,000. And so, but a little bit less paperwork and intend to be a little bit more of a streamlined process. And so for producers that, again, may not need a full 400,000, but maybe just a couple thousand to get through the next production cycle, it's intended to try to make that process a little bit easier for those producers in terms of the application process. Our farm ownership loans, again, these can be used to pay for land purchases, capital improvements, and then they may also can be used for soil and water conservation measures and loan closing or related expenses. And so these can be repaid in up to 40 years, and then these are limited to $600,000 for eligible applicants. They also mentioned that we also offer a youth loan program. And so for youth that are between 10 and 20 years old, if they are in 4-H, FFA, or a qualified youth organization, then we can loan them up to $10,000 to do an ag-related income producing project. So I know a lot of students across the state, they show livestock, and so we can help producers, we can help those youth in purchasing that show steer for that semester or for that year. But also if they want to start their own crop production, so if they want to start, growing some things to go sell at the farmer's market, that could certainly be something that we could probably help fund. If they want to get into beekeeping, that could be something that we could help fund. But again, as long as it's an ag-related income producing project, generally that's the thing that tries to make sure that we can get assistance to those youth so they can get started in that production and start to build up their skills. I will mention that online we do have a loan assistance tool. It's at farmers.gov. And so it provides a interactive online step-by-step guide through our farm loan process. And so it's intended to help ensure that applicants, that they understand the application process a little bit better, and also helps them to gather all of the documents that they need before they submit that application. And so it's the intention that the applicants, after they've used the tool, that they'll be able to submit complete loan applications to help reduce the number of either incomplete rejected or withdrawn applications that come in. And so just another way of trying to make sure producers have all the resources that they need to be successful. So before I close, just a few important things I want to note. I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the NAP program, Assistance for Historically Underserved Producers. And so for those producers that choose to certify, they can do it on the FSA form CCC 860. And so these designations generally define rules for participating in programs as well as priority or pools of funding for other USDA programs. And so, again, some programs have special provisions to assist producers, such as a reduction of payment fees or higher payment factors for other programs. These don't apply to our farm loan programs, though, and so for our farm loan programs, all of the eligibility requirements are the same across the board for those applicants that they have to meet. Receipt for service. So when you go into an FSA office, as well as an NRCS office or rural development, we are required to provide those customers and producers with a receipt that details their visit to the office. And so generally it'll say what you came in for and what the outcome of that visit was. And so this does create some documentation and a little bit of a paper trail for producers. So that way there's some documentation, again, of what they came into the office for and what the outcome of that visit was. If we have email address on file if you're in the system, or if you're new coming into us to work with us, then in most cases we'll email this out to producers. But certainly if you want a hard copy to take with you before you leave the office, your local staff can definitely provide you with that as well. If you're interested again in signing up for our newsletters, if you may not be planning maybe to go into the FSA office soon, you can do that by self-subscribing at farmers.gov/subscribe. And so I know that there's a newsletter that we do have that goes out for Travis County, but we also have a urban agriculture topic here in the state of Texas as well. And so that one includes information that's maybe a little bit more relative to urban type producers. And so, but definitely you can see all the available topics online at farmers.gov. And so again, it's a good way to stay informed about what different programs may be available, what those deadlines are, new programs coming out, deadlines, just kind of make sure that you're aware and kind of know what's available and what's going on. And so with that, that is the end of my presentation for this evening. I know it was quite a bit of information, but certainly I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have. Again, my contact info is here on the screen, so you can either reach out to me by email or by phone. There in Travis County, Michaela Mirchin, she is the county executive director for our FSA office there. And so if you do have any questions on signing up for programs or locally, or even if there are some things that you've heard about this evening and want to reach out to her office about, you can certainly feel free to reach out to her and she'll be happy to assist you all as well. And before I wrap it right quick, I do want to show you just a couple pages. So if you go to farmers.gov/organic, you will be able to come to this webpage here. And it goes through some of the different assistance and items that are available for organic producers. And so goes through organic standards. If you transition to organic, there's some information here on that, as well as what might be some benefits to working with USDA as well. The other one I'll also mention is going to be for beginning farmers and ranchers. I know Sue mentioned in her presentation briefly about farm business planning. And so if you are thinking about creating a farm business plan, or it's a resource that you need, there's a page here for beginning farmers that allows you to kind of go through, see some of the different things that will be useful in building out your farm business plan, or at least some of those important considerations to make as you're working to build that out. So, but with that, Mary, I will stop there and certainly entertain any questions that we may have.
Do we have any questions? Anybody have a question? Yes.
Do any of these programs you have outlined with the current administration's projected changes to the USDA?
Could you hear that, Joshua? You want me to repeat?
Yeah, you can repeat it.
So she asked the question if there's going to be any changes to the current programs and the current administration that are now existing.
So as of now our programs, we're continuing to administer them how they are currently designed. Certainly, as the administration makes changes to programs, and we'll roll those programs out accordingly in line with those changes that may be required. But as of today, we're continuing with our programs as they're currently designed.
Well, that's good to hear. Good job. Anyone else have a question?
Curious, there's a couple of things to see. Are they supporting folks that are having problems with avian bird flu or different flows?
I'll repeat the question. David asked if you have any current growers who are experiencing troubles with avian bird flu?
I know that we've had some cases that have been reported here in Texas. I don't personally know of any here recently, or at least personally I know of, and I haven't heard of any cases here recently. I do know that we did have some assistance initially for producers, dairy herd producers whose herds may have been impacted by avian influenza and had to dump milk. I believe there may have also been assistance that was available in other states for poultry producers that may have had to depopulate their flocks. But I haven't heard of any more recent cases, at least here in the state, of any flocks that may have been impacted. But certainly we do encourage all producers, those that even have backyard flocks, to still kind of keep aware and be on the lookout for those symptoms, just in case, it may impact your operations.
What are the symptoms exactly?
So there is a web page that kind of goes through that, and I'll also drop it in the chat here. USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, they have kind of a list of things that producers should be on the lookout for, and I'm going to try to share. Hopefully y'all can see that.
Oh yeah, we can see that.
Okay. So this here is just some of the things to be on the lookout for. So again, as they kind of list here, sudden death without any prior symptoms, collapse, injury, appetite, a drop in egg production, swelling of the eyelids, nasal discharge, stumbling or falling down, diarrhea. And so definitely for highly pathogenic, this will be, I think, more of the important things to look for. Again, also here does have some information on what you might be able to do to help prevent it and help as preventative measure for you as well. And so I definitely encourage you to definitely take a look at some of the resources on this website. So that way, if you do have any chickens at home, again, if you are again selling eggs, or if it's just a backyard chickens that you have for your personal consumption, it still be important to be on the lookout for these things as well. But I'll drop this link in the chat for everyone.
And then how it's treated, you want to go to that one, might as well.
Oh, sure. And how it's treated. All right. So again, there isn't a treatment that is available. And so again, the only way to stop it is through depopulation for those poultry that might be exposed to it. And so again, I'm sure we've all heard a lot about egg prices, experienced high egg prices in the last few months. And so again, this has been part of the reason why having to depopulate a lot of flocks for those impacted livestock herds. But certainly it's important to at least be able to kind of keep on the lookout for those things. So, if you do have some of your poultry that may be impacted, at least you can kind of stay at the forefront of it and hopefully help to stop from spreading to maybe even neighboring flocks that you may have.
Good information. Thank you. Anyone else
Yes.
have a question? Anyone else? Nothing? Oh, one more, David.
Yeah. Kind of West Steering will need to wrap up pretty soon, but I'm curious about the loans for young people, 10 to 20-year-olds. Is that how's that working?
I'll repeat the question. David asked how the loans work for the young people, the $10,000, 10 to 20-year-olds. What is the process for that, or what groups would be qualified?
Yep. So again, for that youth and youth between the ages of 10 and 20, if they are in 4-H or FFA, those are two of the primary qualifying organizations. There might be other organizations that can qualify, but that gets a little bit into the weeds and figuring that piece out. But 4-H and FFA are the common ones that we see here. But again, as long as it's an ag-related income producing project, generally that's eligible for those students. They have to have an advisor that's going to work with them on their project. Again, in most cases, it will be their 4-H chapter leader or their FFA advisor. But it could also be a parent or guardian that will kind of certify that they're going to help to provide guidance for those students in their projects and carrying it out. Again, it's limited to $10,000. So again, if they don't need 10,000, certainly don't have to borrow full 10,000. But again, it may only be a couple thousand that they need to get started. The youth themselves, again, they are ultimately responsible for the loan and make sure it gets repaid. But again, part of the goal in this is teaching them a little bit of business acumen. And so being able to, again, get that capital to be able to get started, building out their own small operation, and then making that money back and being able to repay that loan is the ultimate goal here. Being able, again, to kind of teach kids that business acumen and being able to run their own farm or start their own ranch that they may have.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate all this great info. Unless we have any more questions, we thank you so much for coming out to see us on Zoom this night. And I wish you well with your programs and everything in the future going forward.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mary. Great to be here, and hope everyone has a great evening.
Yes, you too. Thank you. Do you want me to end or something? Or do you got it? See the end.